For the past 30 years, I've been working nonstop for global nuclear disarmament. In 2009, I traveled the country visiting radioactive sites along the entire nuclear chain. In the process, I met downwinders and uranium miners and nuclear power plant workers and nuclear weapons builders from World War II, whose colleagues have died young or who themselves have suffered from cancers. There are two highways a few miles from my house in western North Carolina, which are used to transport nuclear waste to, from, and between Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Savannah River. As population and traffic increases, so do accidents. I beg you to recognize our shrinking environment cannot afford even one radioactive accident. To be able to stop this transport, you will need to endorse the following policies. First, keep all existing radioactive waste on site where it is produced. The safest way to do this is to create hardened on-site storage near each nuclear power plant, far enough away from any lake, river, or ocean to protect the waterway. Second, stop building new nuclear power plants and phase out the existing nuclear power plants as truly clean and renewable alternatives are actively developed in each community. We have the know-how to use wind, sun, tides, rivers, and geothermal taps to replace nuclear and fossil fuels. We merely need the commitment and the resources. If the money that's currently going into nuclear power, nuclear weapons, and war were instead spent on clean energy, we could solve this problem very quickly. Third, continue to research ways to neutralize radiation. Perhaps someday this will actually happen. But in the meantime, for now, we have no right to continue with the very bad policies of nuclear expansion, which endanger not only ourselves, but all future generations. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Why did the chicken cross the Savannah River? To get away from the Savannah River side. That chicken may be Chicken Little, but maybe he isn't. I'm worried. I have no credentials, but I'm worried. Got up this morning and read the paper about the PCBs and the fish. We can't eat the fish anymore. I can remember when we're being told how safe nuclear energy is. I can remember when physicians were making cigarette commercials. So I'm worried. Continue the chicken metaphor. Let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Whose football field are we going to pile it on? Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody who came down here. 30 people from Nashville, congratulations. We got 12 in from Columbia. This is really good. Thank you. I'm not going to go too deep, I hope. I will say that I have great qualms about following any Soviet-Russian nuclear process. Do I need to say anything more than Chernobyl? Okay. I was a reporter for a while. Why am I not a reporter? Well, because I think it was a good reporter, and that means you don't keep working. I've learned quickly, follow the money. Cui bono, who benefits? Let's think about that as we evaluate the presentations we've heard today. Who benefits out of these things? I'm going to take a couple of quick looks at things. One is that I suggest if you really want to get some information, go to the Nuclear Information and Resource Service site, www.nirs.org. Really good research material. They did a lot of research and evaluation, good stuff. I'm not going to try to duplicate it here. The point that General Scowcroft really brought forward about participatory democracy is where all this needs to go. Participatory democracy is something we've tried to get toward in this country a few times. It's why Glenn Beck is so upset about the progressives. They were working on this. Anything that Glenn Beck is upset about, I'm in favor of. You have all the information, the expertise you need to evaluate, to move ahead on this, to understand how to get opinions. You talk about going to the schools. The progressives were in the schools with study groups, with information process. Go back to New England, talk about town meetings and having and listening to people there. We know how to do this stuff. I've been at it a long time, so have a lot of other people. And anybody who wants to talk about it, come talk to most of us who are in this room. And my email is greenpalmetto@yahoo.com, and I would love to talk to you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andy Yasinzak. I'm a retired environmental engineer. I spent a little more than 30 years working for DHEC, permitting industrial wastewater. As a matter of fact, that's one of my basis of my concerns. I permitted an industry to dispose of wastewater just downstream of the Savannah River site on a land application site. So I'm somewhat acquainted with the geology. I've heard that geology at Savannah River site's been thoroughly studied. I think that should frighten us rather than encourage us, because what I found at this site immediately below the Savannah River site is surface soils are extremely porous, sand that allow stormwater and contaminants from leakage that does occur at these manufacturing sites, which this will be, to flow into the ground unattenuated, doesn't capture any of the contaminants. Underneath that coarse sandy soil is a very permeable sandstone aquifer, and that sandstone aquifer is essentially the sole source of drinking water for the city of Savannah. The Savannah River site is a very hazardous place to put a chemical operation, and there should be no consideration at all for storing any waste at the Savannah River site. Certainly there's facilities for processing waste. I'm an optimistic person, and I'd love to see well-operated, designed recycling, and if it can be done at Savannah River site, that's a good idea. But there should be no more storage there than is absolutely necessary to carry out the immediate operation of waste recycling facility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What a crowd you are. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina also. We've heard from the nuclear industry, the engineers and the academics, the businesses, the chambers of commerce, and even a commander in the nuclear navy. All who gain economic benefit and collude in the perpetration of this deadly and dirty industry. Nuclear power and nuclear weapons are tied together in a criminal codependency that we must not allow to continue. Any suggested economic benefits that may accrue to some, even folks with no access to jobs, cannot outweigh the reckless endangerment to the health of our communities and our planet. Shut down production, clean up the mess if you can, and make economic reparations to those who have suffered from this insane and short-sighted policy. Thank you.
Good. Woo!